The fastest way to lose yourself is to constantly try to keep everyone else happy. We live in a world where being kind is often mistaken for being weak, and where people will gladly walk all over you if you never learn to say no. This is the story of how being too nice can slowly destroy your life, and the exact moment you must decide to take your power back. Daniel was the kind of person everyone liked, but nobody truly respected. At 22 years old, with his short curly black hair and a slim build, he was practically invisible in his own life. He wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, blending perfectly into the background of the busy university architecture studio. Daniel was quiet, observant, and heavily underestimated by his peers. Whenever a group project needed extra hours of grueling work, everyone looked at Daniel. They knew he would never say no, even if it meant staying up until sunrise while they went out to party. His days were an endless cycle of solving other people's problems. Last month, a senior student dumped a massive, corrupted 3D rendering file on Daniel's desk, pleading for help because his laptop couldn't handle the processing. Daniel spent 12 straight hours rebuilding the entire wireframe from scratch, missing his own meals and classes. A week later, another classmate begged him to rewrite her entire architectural theory essay because she was stressed. Daniel didn't just proofread it, he completely restructured her arguments and drew the diagrams, watching her take an A while he barely had time to finish his own submission. The weight of his own kindness was beginning to suffocate him. Standing in his cramped apartment at midnight, staring at a stack of blueprints that weren't even his, Daniel felt a familiar, heavy ache in his chest. He was currently redesigning a complex structural floor plan for a classmate who claimed he had a family emergency, only for Daniel to see that same classmate tagged in a wild party video on social media an hour later. He was exhausted, not just physically, but deep in his soul. He looked at his reflection in the dark window. He saw a young man with brown skin and tired eyes who was constantly trading his own peace to buy the approval of people who didn't even care about him. The internal conflict was a silent war. He wanted to be a good person, but he was starting to hate the person he had become. The breaking point arrived on a rainy Tuesday afternoon during the final project presentations. Daniel had spent the entire weekend fixing a massive flaw in his partner's half of the design, working through a blinding headache to ensure the project didn't fail. When the professor praised the brilliant correction and asked who was responsible, his partner stepped forward with a confident smile and took all the credit, claiming it was his own breakthrough. Daniel stood in the shadows, waiting for his partner to mention his name, but the credit never came. Daniel looked at his partner, then at the professor, and finally at his own shaking hands. Something snapped. The fear of confrontation that usually held his tongue was suddenly replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. He realized that by being too nice to others, he was being incredibly cruel to himself. That evening marked the beginning of his transformation. Daniel did not become loud, aggressive, or mean. Instead, he became intentional. The next time a classmate casually dropped a pile of unorganized site data on his desk and asked him to fix it before the morning, Daniel didn't smile and nod. He didn't make up an excuse or apologize. He looked the person directly in the eyes, his body language calm but unyielding, and simply said, "I can't help you with that today, I have my own work to focus on." The classmate stood there with his mouth open, shocked by the sudden boundary from the studio's designated doormat. Daniel didn't apologize to fill the awkward silence. He just turned back to his desk and began to work on his own future. The payoff was not immediate, but it was profound. As the weeks passed, the people who used to exploit Daniel's kindness began to back away, realizing they could no longer use him as free labor. But something better happened. A few people stayed, and they looked at him with a new kind of genuine respect. They stopped asking for favors and started asking for his opinion as an equal. Daniel was still quiet and observant, but there was a new strength in his silence. He had more energy, his grades skyrocketed because he was finally pouring his talent into his own work, and for the first time in years, he felt like the owner of his own time and life. You do not need to become a bad person to survive in this world. But you must stop lighting yourself on fire just to keep other people warm. Stop being too nice to people who only remember you when they need something. Know your worth, draw your boundaries in stone, and never apologize for protecting your own peace. Your life belongs to you, not to the expectations of others.